My mother moved to Johannesburg when she was 20 years old. She had me 5 years later. I had only been to the Eastern Cape a handful of times, and only one time where I was old enough to remember. My mum kept reminding me that I would have to go eventually. 30 years later, that time finally came. My mother always knew there was something wrong with her. My birth was complicated, almost killing her, and she wasn't able to have more kids after that. We finally found out what it was. When she was diagnosed with stage 4 uterine cancer, she wasn't able to fight it. A week before she died, even I was hoping for that inevitable death. I know this makes me sound evil. Which child would ever wish death on their mother? A loving mother who carried you on their hip until you were old enough to run. My mother who would make sure I was full before she would eat what I could not finish. Who made sure I knew I would always be her baby when I couldn't afford to help with groceries or the rent. My mother, whose hand I held through her short-lived fight with cancer, promising I would have a job by the time she got out. I knew she wouldn't be getting out when that strong woman, who would rather die than be a burden, couldn't get herself up for the toilet. When her lips and tongue were yellow, when the nurses would get me off my knees, begging her to eat. Between the two of us, we were fortunate enough to afford funeral insurance. The funeral insurance company would transport her body 2 days before I would travel to the Eastern Cape by bus. I sat in the front passenger seat, with my head leaning on the window as the other passengers buzzed behind me, howling traditional songs, speaking in a language I couldn't quite understand. It was hours into this bus ride that I thought back to nights with my mum, where I would be lying on my foam mattress on the floor, and she would be on the bed above me, and she would tell me stories from her home. One of those was about the route to the Eastern Cape, on the freeway I-10, told me the story of the ghost that haunted that road, that lead drivers to their death. Every driver driving at night was warned to never veer their car to avoid anyone that appeared in front of it. From the time the bus entered the freeway, I could feel the atmosphere change. Like the singing was lowered, but the laughter was louder. Like the driver was suddenly sitting up, paying maximum attention to the road ahead, and not the other cars doing the same, as if we were moving way too slow for a freeway. Even I was on edge in a skeptical curiosity. I wanted to see if there was actually such a thing. At the same time, I didn't want to find out. I was sitting up in my seat, while forcing myself to sit down. Whatever ghost was on the I-10, if there even was one, it wasn't something I would ever want to see. My body and mind were fighting between putting my headphones on and putting my head down on the bag on my lap. My body won. Whatever it was I saw, everyone in the bus saw it too. Suddenly the bus was quiet, the air thick. There wasn't a sound, not even a breath. On the pedestrian pass along the road, 1 lane away, was a small woman. Short, with the kind of fit build some people are simply born with, an untamed afro, wearing a shivering white dress. The bottom of her feet were charred from a long walk. She was dawdling, with her back hunched, as if she were carrying a heavy load on her shoulders. Yet she still managed to gracefully keep pace with the bus. The ghost of the I-10 freeway, who at that very moment looked exactly like my mother. I watched without blinking. At some point, I think I even forgot to breathe, just watching this thing wearing my mother's face, as if her death meant her likeness was up for grabs. My mother wasn't even buried yet, white and cold in a mortuary fridge, yet her face was pressed up against the glass, with deep pits of black eyes mimicking my sad, maybe angry or terrified face. The woman thing, ghost, blew up into a puff of black smoke right in front of my eyes. The sun was just about rising by then, and the air in the bus was just as tense. That's when I felt the shiver in my bones, like a cramp. "God," someone said. An old wrinkled woman. It was like that was what everyone was waiting for. Someone to open their mouth and let out a sound, so the rest could sigh. None of them was looking back at me, so none of them must have known the face of my mother. I sat back properly on the seat, for the second time since being on that bus, and not the family transport with pitying family members. I was glad no one else was able to recognize that face. I was relieved I could get out of the bus at the bus stop and decided I would never speak about or even think about that day.